Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Cameron, aka Prince Phantom, and we've got another build for you. This
Hello,
one,
hello.
hello. This one was a special request by me, so that the next time I play a bard, I can play the kind of bard that I want to play. And so I asked him, is there any way you can build a bard around the spell Vicious Mockery? That's
Well, my response to
yeah,
that was, I'll see what I can do.
yeah.
Um,
It's
and
a
I'll
tall
admit, it was
order.
tough.
It's
It
not a
was tough.
powerful spell.
No, and I, in fact, rate Vicious Mockery a bit lower than even you do, I believe. I believe that it is a fine spell from about levels 1 to 4. After that, and even before then, basically the moment monsters get multi-attack, I don't think it's a good spell anymore.
Oh, it's
But
probably not, but it's a fun one.
but it is a fun one. And I agree with you on that regard, which is why I agree with you that I do want to make a character that can get the most out of it, or at least can get the most out of the flavor of it. Maybe
Yeah.
if not casting Vicious Mockery itself, casting spells like it and doing it better than any other bard can do. So, for that type of character, I dug deep to try and find any way to make this work whatsoever. Bards are good characters. Any
Yeah.
bard is going to be a good character. Bards are probably in the top 3 to 4 classes in the game. So it's hard to make a bad bard. Casting Vicious Mockery every turn would make a bad bard.
I would make a
so,
bad bard.
so I wanted to still be casting Vicious Mockery and spells like it very frequently while still being a good bard. So, Vicious Mockery, if you don't know, you probably do, but it's an action to cast, and it forces a wisdom save on your target. If they fail that wisdom save, they take a d4 of psychic damage, and the next attack they make is made with disadvantage.
All right. So
So,
for multi-attacking creatures, only the first of the multi-attack
yes,
counts. Yeah,
yes.
that's not great.
Vicious Mockery, it is a good spell from levels, basically the levels where monsters don't have multi-attack, but as you mentioned, it falls off. So I'm not satisfied with casting it as an action. So I said, okay, well, can I cast it as a bonus action? There are a couple ways to cast spells as bonus actions. Sorcerers get Quicken Spell, but that's 2 sorcery points, and I would need to take a lot of levels in Sorcerer to get the amount of sorcery points needed to do that frequently. And then I'm building a sorcerer. I'm not building a bard.
Right.
So I thought, well, that doesn't really work. I thought, well, the Bladesinger wizard can attack and use a cantrip, but they don't get that ability until level 6. So I thought, I don't like that. And then I thought, oh, well, Eldritch Knights. Oh, they get an ability to cast a cantrip and make an attack as a bonus action. That sort of works. Well, they don't get that ability till level 7. So I really, really couldn't find a good way, and maybe I missed something. I couldn't find a good way to cast Vicious Mockery as a bonus action. So I don't want to cast it as an action. I don't want to cast it as a bonus action. Bob, what action does that leave us with?
Reaction?
A reaction. Now, normally you can only cast a spell as a reaction if it's a reaction spell. Shield,
Sure.
counter spell, absorb elements, those types of spells. But there is one other way to cast a spell as a reaction. And it's actually a way that works really well with Vicious Mockery and spells like Vicious Mockery. So let's get into the build, and we'll discuss
Okay.
how that works. So for race, we're going with Variant Human. Now, I've gone with Custom Lineage a couple of times. We went for Variant Human here just because the stat spread worked out a little bit better, having 2 +1s instead of a +2. So we'll take Variant Human. And the reason we want to take Variant Human is because we want a couple of feats and we want them quickly. First feat I want is Warcaster. Now, Warcaster is great on every bard. Every bard loves Warcaster. It gives us advantage on concentration checks, which is great. We love that. And it also gives us the ability to cast while our hands are full, spells that require somatic components. We like that. Our hands will actually be full with this character, so that is actually relevant.
Okay.
Vicious Mockery, notably, just a verbal component, so you cast it with your hands full no matter what, but Other spells not as lucky. And the third point of Warcaster, the point that's not used that often, the point that most people see and just say, oh, that's nice, I'll try and remember it when it comes up, is the ability to cast a spell in place of an opportunity attack. Now, that spell has to only target one creature, but, and of course, you're targeting the creature that triggers the opportunity attack. But that gives us a way to cast a lot of different spells as a reaction. Now, you might say, well, how is a bard getting a bunch of opportunity attacks? Most things aren't super threatened by a bard. They're not going to be running away from them like they would a barbarian. Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
We got to get another feat before then.
But this is,
luckily,
I mean, this is, just to be clear, this is the reason we're choosing Warcaster as early as we are.
Yes,
Okay.
we need it and another feat that we're going to take at level 4 so that we can get our combo online now.
Okay.
And the good thing is, levels 1 through 4 is when Vicious Mockery is a pretty good spell. So we can cast it as normal and probably be okay with it.
But
Past that, we're going to get it.
Until level 4, we're still casting this mainly as an action.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Okay.
Now, for a background, normally I don't mention backgrounds. However, many spells that require the kind of flavor we're going for, Vicious Mockery, Dissonant Whispers, Command, those sorts of spells, require your target to be able to understand you. Therefore, having a character with a bunch of languages actually is useful. So pick a background that gets you a couple extra languages, and talk to your DM and try and tailor those languages to what you're going to face in your combats. And of course, you can pick up later levels. You can pick up spells like Tongues, where you can understand all languages, but in the early levels it helps.
Sure.
So starting stats, we'll take an 18 strength, dump strength just like most bards, 14 dexterity because we will be getting medium armor, and 15 constitution, excuse me, for our concentration checks and HP, which we will eventually be rounding that up to a 16. We dump intelligence at an 8. We put a 12 wisdom for saving throws, because bards are actually proficient in wisdom saving throws, so we'll actually be pretty good at them. And a 16 charisma, as that is our main stat.
Sure.
And I should mention those stats that are useful stuff. I already added the increases from the variant human race. We did a +1 from Dex, +1 to Dex, and a +1 to Charisma.
Right.
So,
okay.
We'll go ahead and start. Obviously, we are a bard. That is going to be our primary class. We're going to be sticking with it as much as we possibly can. In fact, just double checking here. Okay, no, I do multi-class once.
Yeah, I think there's a little dip.
There's a little dip. We'll get to that. But we'll go first levels 1 through 3 as bard. And once we reach level 3, we'll be picking up the lore bard. We'll get to that here in a second. But for the spells that we're going to be selecting, as we are a bard, we are full spellcaster. Our spells are our most important thing. And bards are known spellcasters. As you have talked about a lot in your bard spell reviews, taking our spells is important. We don't get to change them around like clerics and druids do.
Right.
So, for our first level selections for our cantrips, we take Vicious Mockery.
Woohoo!
Yay! Right at level 1, already doing it. I love that about the build. Any build that I can get right online at level 1, that's great. We'll also take other cantrip, Minor Illusion. Other cantrip's kind of flexible. I think Minor Illusion is the best utility cantrip the bards get. You pick your favorite, though. And for spells, we get 4. Dissonant Whispers is, 1, a great spell.
Yeah.
It allows us to cast a spell. If they fail their save, they take 46 psychic damage and must move away from us using their reaction. And notably, that movement triggers opportunity attacks.
All right. Yeah. So it's compelled, not forced.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Exactly. So also be very careful. Only cast the spell on creatures that have not already used their reaction for the turn. They've already used their reaction. They can't run away. I've seen that happen a couple of times in games. So just be careful about that. But most of the time, monsters haven't used their reaction. So, for example, already at level 1, if we have an enemy opposing us, we can cast Dissonant Whispers on them. If they fail their save, they start running away. We can then cast Vicious Mockery on them as they're running away.
Deal a bunch of psychic damage.
Yes, yeah, it's great. And also, I love it because Dissonant Whispers can be flavored the exact same way as Vicious Mockery. This character can be flinging out insults in as many different variety of ways as you want. Your Dissonant Whispers can be whispering into there about how horrible and awful at their job they are, or whatever you please. Go wild with
whispers.
it. Yes. Get creative. In fact, I tried to pick a lot of different spells that were based on talking. So the next spell that I picked up, was Healing Word. Healing Word's a good bard spell because it lets us pick up our allies. It's really the only healing spell you need. I like to think of it that we are telling our friends, hey, get over it, get up, I need your help. We're a very rude Healing Word.
Perhaps a bit of a stretch for the theme, but yeah, it's a great spell.
Hey, I think I am all for stretching for flavor. I love it. A spell that is not nearly as much of a stretch, though, Silvery Barbs.
No, that's not. That's essentially, Vicious Mockery. Except that, it does Mockery different and better things.
Just for a different thing, yes.
Right.
And the last one that I picked, Hideous Laughter. There are a million different ways to flavor Hideous Laughter. In fact, if you have ever seen Campaign 2 of Critical Role, the wonderful Sam Riegel used the spell many times and had a new, unique joke every single time he cast the spell. All of them were horrible. It was funny every time. You, as the Insult Master Bard, can flavor your Hideous Laughter to be a insult to not the target of your spell, but to somebody else. Insulting somebody else so that your target of your spell thinks that insult was so funny that they just start falling over and laughing.
Now,
like
I think
get creative.
I'm still going to insult them.
Sure.
But it hurts them that they're laughing at my joke. I'm so funny that they can't help but laugh in spite of being the butt of the joke.
Insult.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, a lot of comedians do that, right? They will insult someone in a way that is so funny that the person they just insulted has to laugh.
Yep.
So yeah, like I said,
and
so much flavor.
Be hurt.
Yes, so much flavor. And then at level 2, we get another spell selection. I took Thunder Wave. This is a bit more of a stretch. How you do this? But like I said, be creative. Have fun with it. Insult someone very loudly. I don't know. But Thunder Wave is a good offensive spell. But at level 3, I immediately replace it with Shatter. Shatter to me is just... Thunder Wave has forced movement applications. If you're getting a lot of mileage out of that forced movement from Thunder Wave, keep Thunder Wave. But Shatter does more damage to a bigger area. So I replace it with Shatter once we get to level 3. And the other spell that I pick up at level 3 is Suggestion, another verbal-based spell that you can flavor in kind of however you want. I
suggest you eat my ass. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Of course.
Could be reasonable.
Now, the suggestion, I actually want to do the thing that is... No, I wouldn't use that one.
No, hang on. It only has to be reasonable, remember?
I know, but I don't want them to actually eat my ass.
Hey, I didn't want to speak for you, all right? To each their own. But, yes, I did mention earlier, the subclass we were selecting is the Lore subclass, the Lore Bard. Lore Bard gives you a bunch of goodies, the biggest being extra magical secrets at level 6. Not there yet, but we'll get there. But it gives us a couple extra skill proficiencies, which is cool, like that. But the thing that I am interested in, and this is kind of a flavor pick, is the ability Cutting Words.
Whoa!
So
that definitely fits thematically. There's no stretch there.
Cutting Words as a reaction. Basically, we give somebody the opposite of bardic inspiration. We give them one of our bardic inspiration die. They roll it and must subtract it from whatever they roll, be an attack roll. I believe it's attack rolls or ability checks. I don't know if it works on saving throws. I'm just double checking that. Yeah, so we have silvery barbs for saving throws, so we're fine there. So that is another use of our reaction. You're going to notice we have a lot of uses for our reaction on this bard. I plan to be using my reaction every single turn.
I like that. The reactions are in this game are too few and far between.
Yeah. And you will find most optimized characters find a use for their reaction a lot because it's free real estate.
Yeah.
So, next, level 4 is where we get the combo. Because for level 4 feat selection, we're grabbing Polearm Master. Now,
But
I know what you're thinking. Bards don't. I mean, there are some bards that get proficiency in martial weapons. Warbard is not one of them. Why are we grabbing a feat that functions mostly off of martial weapons and wielding martial weapons? Hey, don't we have a strength score of 8? Hold on. So, Polearm Master is a good feat for many reasons. Marshals love it because it gives them a bonus action attack, all that stuff. I want it for a different reason. So Polearm Master, the line of text that I am interested in is while you are holding a polearm, be that a glaive, halberd, spear, or quarterstaff, I believe, and somebody enters your range with that weapon, you can make an opportunity attack against them. So now we can make an opportunity attack when someone approaches us rather than when someone is leaving our area. Notice that we can replace an opportunity attack with a spell thanks to Warcaster. So when somebody walks up towards us to attack us, we can interrupt their movement with a spell using our reaction. And if we're holding a glaive or a halberd, we can do that when they're 10 feet away rather than 5 feet away.
What about a quarterstaff?
Quarterstaffs have a 5-foot range.
Oh, shucks. All right, well.
Yep. Quarterstaffs and spears have a 5-foot range. Notice we're not proficient in a glaive or a halberd.
Yeah.
I never plan to swing that weapon. Ever. Never once. In fact, I encourage you to reflavor it as like a mic stand or something. You know, we're never swinging it, so we don't have to worry about, oh, it's breaking immersion. Talk to your DM, reflavor it as maybe a big megaphone, something. Go wild with it. Have fun. You're never swinging with it, but we are holding it. So, with this, we can now cast Vicious Mockery and other spells like it as a reaction anytime someone is coming within 10 feet of us.
Wait a second, we can cast any spell as a reaction?
Any spell that only targets one creature.
Wow, that's a lot of potential there.
Yes. So Suggestion is on the table. Dissonant Whispers to then make them approach. They approach us. We cast Dissonant Whispers. They fail their save. They run away. They don't get to make their attacks. It's great. So there's a lot of different potential in here. Vicious Mockery is kind of the floor. That is the base level of what we can do. Dissonant Whisper, Suggestion, these other spells are what we could cast. We could cast Hideous Laughter and have them immediately fall prone and start convulsing in laughter before they even get to us to make attacks. So there's a lot of different options we have to completely subdue an opponent before they can even get to us. Yeah,
that's great. And because it's a reaction, you're using their turn.
Yep. Yeah. So I will mention at level 4, the spell I selected was Enlarge Reduce. I have no idea how to make this one work. Although, if you've ever had a dressing down so hard that you felt like you just wanted to shrink into the earth, that's kind of how I feel Reduce fits into the build. Enlarge, I've got no idea. Maybe you're just puffing up somebody so much they literally get bigger.
Are you
I don't
using
know.
this on other people?
Yeah, I don't think casting a large reduce on yourself was a very good idea because it's concentration. We're not making attacks,
Yeah, but I
but
mean, what are you doing with it for other people?
well, okay. I don't actually plan on casting a large reduce on other people very often.
What are you casting it on?
Objects.
Oh, all right.
So enlarge reduce is a weird spell. I don't want to get into it too terribly much because I'm trying to keep this video short. But basically, you'll notice if you read the spell, it has no limitation on the size of an object it can affect.
So
You
you can
could
cast it
cast
on a
enlarge
mountain.
reduce on a mountain and make it half its size or twice its size. Don't do that in game. DMs don't allow your players to do that. Just say that the mountain is made up of constituent parts. It is not a single object. But a door, for example, you can cast reduce on, have it shrink to not fit on its hinges anymore, fall off. Who needs rogues anymore? There are a lot of potential uses for making things smaller or bigger. It is mostly an exploration thing. Don't plan on using it in combat too much. But I do like having it on my sheet because in the times I've played with it, I found there are actually a lot of uses for shrinking and growing objects.
All right.
So
That doesn't really fit with the build. I mean, that's
no, no,
just
no, no, no.
all right.
I ran out of spells of this level that fit the theme.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just trying to make it
If
work
you,
somehow now.
yeah, if you have something else that fits that you find fits the theme better, or you can make fit the theme better, or you like better as a spell, go for it. It doesn't work. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But for level 5, the spell that I selected, I think actually does fit very well with the build. It's Fear.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you're a big fan of Fear, so am I. I put it pretty on par. It and Hypnotic Pattern are like right neck and neck for the best third level spell that bards get. Fear, though, fits the theme of this build much better than Hypnotic Pattern, so I thought it was a clear choice.
Now,
As
fear
you
though,
have
just
mentioned many times.
I'm looking up fear just a second. Fear. All right, now fear targets multiple creatures, so you can't use this with
Yeah,
the up. All right, yeah,
yeah, that is correct. Yeah, and that's fine. We don't. Not
yeah.
every single one of our spells has to work that way. Fear is a
I
great
was just I
control
was thinking
spell
it
to.
would be really cool if it did though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But Fear is a really great control spell to start a combat out with, to preemptively cast, to disable a whole big crowd of enemies. As you love to point out, make them drop their weapons.
Yes, yes. Grab all their stuff.
Uh, yes, yes. So great strategy. But Fear is a great preemptive cast, and then as things either save out of the fear and start approaching us, then we can start doing our combo, that sort of thing. So, next level 6. I'm going to talk about level 6 very specifically, and after that, we're going to kind of speed up a little bit because level 6, taking a single level dip into Warlock. Can you guess what the patron is?
I forgot the patrons. Let me think. I'm
Starts with an
thinking
H.
H.
It's the Hexblade.
Hexblade's not a patron, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well,
Oh,
Hexblade is the name of the patron.
oh, right.
It's
I'm
weird.
thinking,
Your patron isn't the Hexblade. Your patron is the Raven Queen or whatever. Anyway, it's called the patron, the Hexblade patron. Whatever. It's bad naming. D&D is no stranger to poorly naming things. Read character level and also spell level. Ugh. Anyway, we'll take Hexblade Patron because it gives us medium armor proficiency and shield proficiency. Now you might say, hang on, the halberd and the glaive are two-handed weapons. So how can we build a shield at the same time as a two-handed weapon? Well, you actually only need the two-handed property only specifies that you need two hands to swing the weapon.
We're just
I never plan on swinging the weapon. I'm just holding it. So I can hold it and hold a shield as long as I can see the fact that I'm never going to swing that weapon. So that gives us a big bump to armor class, putting us all the way up to potentially 19 if you have half plate.
This feels a little sketchy though, because I think that the whole Polearm Master thing is because you are wielding this with the ability to strike somebody. Like, I don't know. It's
It's not in
rules
the
is written.
words.
Yeah.
Rules is written. This works, and I make all my builds based off rules as written.
Okay.
And also, I mean, we are not planning on attacking with that. I think that makes the Warcaster thing work better. You know, when somebody is approaching us, we are planning to cast a spell. We're not replacing it. We are planning to cast a spell.
Yeah.
So I think flavorfully it works. If
Okay.
you disagree for some reason, then I'm sorry, the build doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true.
But for Warlock spells, I just picked Prestidigitation and Mage Hand for our cantrips. We're not going far enough into Warlock to care about Eldritch Blast, so I didn't even bother with it. To really empower Eldritch Blast, you need 2 levels of Warlock, and I didn't want to do that.
I don't know though. Do we have any just like ranged spells like cantrips right now? It might be useful to have an Eldritch
Vicious
Blast.
Mockery.
Yeah, well, that's just it. We might have. It might be useful to have, something in our pocket just to.
If that's what you're concerned about, I wouldn't take Eldritch Blast. I would take something like a Ray of Frost. I don't know if Firebolt is on the Warlock list, but having it all in one hit, on average, is actually better damage than Eldritch Blast spreading it out.
Okay.
It's weird math. But if you want to take Eldritch Blast here, yeah, if you want to take Eldritch Blast here, go right ahead. If you want to take another level in Warlock to empower Eldritch Blast, you can do that. It's just not what I wanted to do for the build. That's all. But for the spells, we'll grab Armor of Agathis and Shield. Shield, when cast, again, as a reaction. So we have to know when. When should we cast Shield, and when should we cast a spell with an opportunity attack with Warcaster? So say the enemy is approaching us. The way you should determine this is how likely is that enemy to fail the saving throw of the spell you're going to cast at them. So say you've got something like an ogre, very bad mental saves, probably going to fail the save on that Dissonant Whispers, right?
Right. So if you can get him to run away, you don't need. He's not going to hit you, so you don't need the shield.
Yeah. Say you're fighting a Pit Fiend who has very good mental saves and is not likely to fail that saving throw. Then we cast Shield. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's normally pretty easy to tell when something has generally good mental saving throws. Sometimes it's not. Play it by ear. Generally, Shield is going to be the safer cast, but it's not as fun.
No, it's not what this build is about.
Yeah, but it is there to keep us safe when we need it. And Armor of Agathis, and Armor of Agathis, again, we're not planning on making any big, improvements to it like we did with the Observer build that we did a while ago. But it is a good spell when cast to higher levels. We are planning to sometimes take on melee combat. Our whole thing is to let monsters approach us occasionally, or at least when they do, we have a plan for it. Sometimes they'll make that saving throw and that plan will fail. Armor of Agathis helps us when that happens.
Not by much, though.
Are
you casting this at a higher level?
Yes, definitely. Never cast this at first level. Never.
Okay.
Never. I always at least cast Armor of Agathis at 3rd level. Even at 2nd level, I don't like it. So, for the next couple of levels, we get Bard level 6, which gives us our extra magical secrets. For my 6th level regular spell selection for Bard, I took Aid. I just like the spell. It's another spell like Armor of Agathis that at 2nd level is really not that great. You're adding 5 maximum hit points to 3 creatures. It's 15 HP total. It's fine. When upcast, though, it adds a lot more. So you go from 15 at a 2nd level to 30 at 3rd level. Also, it's adding additional maximum hit points. It stacks with temporary hit points.
Right, yeah.
So if we take something like Inspiring Leader later, we can really buff up our party. So I like it at higher levels.
Sure.
And then, so we also picked up, I did eventually pick up Hypnotic Pattern. The reason I grabbed it is because sometimes monsters are immune to fear. Conversely, sometimes monsters are immune to charm. So now we have both, and we can use whichever one is applicable. I would be defaulting to fear more.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I guess Hypnotic Pattern, you could work your way into that fitting thematically.
Yes, yeah. So for the extra magical secrets that we get at 6th level, 6th level bard. To be clear, we are a 7th level character,
Right.
6th level bard, 1 level wizard.
Warlock.
I went a little off theme. See, bard kind of gives us all the spells we need to fit the flavor. So I scoured all of the other spells in the game to try and find something that isn't on the bard list that matches the flavor of what we're going for. And really, I found no good spells anyway.
Well, why are you looking for other class lists? Why not be happy with sticking with bard?
Because we kind of got everything in bard that we want too.
Oh, all right.
For these levels anyway. There are some later level spells that we'll take that we'll love. But nothing yet. So I got Fireball and Sly.
Can't go wrong with that.
If you want to stick closer to the theme and you want to pick up a spell like Motivational Speech or something,
no,
don't do that. But sure, go ahead. But Fireball, it's good. It's good for these levels.
Wait, how are we getting Fireball? That's not a bard spell.
Extra magical secrets.
Ah, right.
Yep. Lower bards specifically get to pick magical secrets at 6th level, whereas other bards have to wait until level 10.
That's pretty good.
Yep. And I also grabbed Fly because Fly is a good spell that solves a lot of out of combat and in combat problems.
Probably more out of combat. In combat, it's kind of a liability.
Yeah, but in combat, if you're fighting, harpies, and you have and your party consists of you, a fighter, a barbarian, and a monk, well, get those boys up in the air.
Yeah.
So, and at character level 9, bard level 8, I just took an ability score improvement to bump our charisma up to an 18.
Sure.
We are relying on enemies failing saves, so getting our charisma up higher is very good. So now, past these levels, I will tell you, do whatever you want. I chose to stick with bard the rest of the way. If you want to take another level dip in Warlock to empower your Eldritch Blast, you can do that. I didn't want this to become an Eldritch Blast character.
Right.
I wanted this to be a Vicious Mockery character.
What else are we? I mean, we're sticking with lore bard all the way, right? Anything else? Lore board. Is there anything else cool that lore bard gets in the higher levels?
They get one more feature. It's called, I think it's Peerless Skill. It allows them to basically use their bardic inspiration die on themselves.
Okay, that's not super exciting.
It's a fine ability, but not super exciting. But I did want to stick with bard because bards eventually get 9th level spells.
Yeah,
and that is exciting.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
And I'm not going to list off the character for the rest of these levels because it is literally just pick the spells that you want to pick. That is the rest of the character.
The build part is the build specific part is finished.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, we're done. This general strategy will carry you to level 20. It will be effective all the way up into level 20. But I did want to mention some standout spells that you might want to select. Through magical secrets, find Greater Steed, normally only exclusive to paladins. Great spell. Animate objects. Synaptic Static fits in with our theme very well. It is psychic damage. It can be flavored as, that sort of thing. Mass Suggestion also fits in very well with our theme. Irresistible Dance. I don't know how, but I feel like it fits in with the theme.
For some reason, I feel like it does. It's whatever you say, like whatever your incantation is, can be an insult. And
yes.
Just having them dance and get the snot beat out of them is the injury that's added to the insult.
I like that. I like the way you think. Force Cage is the best spell of 7th level, so you should probably take that. Dominate Monster, again, a spell that I've talked about previously. Wasn't super high on before Silvery Barbs. Now the Silvery Barbs exist, I'm a lot more high on it. And I also love the idea of you insulting someone so bad that they're like, you know what, I respect that, and joining your side. Like you walk up to the Pit Fiend, insult him right to your face, and he says, I like you.
You're
So,
right about
anyway.
my mother.
Psychic Scream is a 9th level spell I don't normally gravitate towards, but
What?
it fits in really well.
That's
with
my
the theme.
favorite.
Well, it's just tough when it's going up against things like True Polymorph and Wish.
I know, but heads explode is in the text.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry, you're right. Take Psychic Scream. You literally, I do like the thought of the capstone of the character being that you can insult someone so bad that their head explodes.
Yes.
That's wonderful. And also other standout 9th level spells, True Polymorph, Wish, which Wish you grab through Magical Secrets Wish, not actually native to the Bard spell list, but you get to pick Magical Secrets at level 19. Why would you not select Wish?
Yeah.
So anyway, that is the build. We are a build that is able to take and weaponize insults in as many different ways as I could possibly jam into one character in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
And that's great. You've got you picked all the insulting spells and everything, but really any character can do that. But I think the meat of it was the Warcaster and the what's the other thing?
Polearm Master.
Polearm Master. That was a fun little gambit.
Yeah, that is actually a little trick that I pulled out from an old optimized build called the Force Lance that uses the same combo but with Eldritch Blast to keep enemies away from it. It's kind of a keep away sort of build.
Okay.
That's an old build that the optimization community came up with years and years and years ago. But I remembered that build and kind of like said, now wait a second, I can apply that here. So there you go.
All right. Well, great job. Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, that was our Vicious Mockery build. Stay tuned for more. Thank you, Cameron, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think of the build. Is this something you want to try? It's something I'm definitely going to try the next bard I make.
Great to hear.
That's that, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.